Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com, joins Craig. I'm David Smoak. This is 365 Sports. Zach, thank you very much for your time. So, what is the best or the worst thing about, let's start with that new transfer portal, which this show discussed quite a bit yesterday. But what, in your opinion, is the best part of it? Is it just maybe it's going to be one time, or is it also the worst it's going to get a lawsuit?
I think at this point you should probably counter a lawsuit because now, even though the NCAA has not admitted it, the courts view that being a college athlete is a job. And so you and I, we may sign contracts, but we are legally permitted to go seek other employment at any time we want. College athletes, in theory, are not. But at the same time, what comes to mind is the case that's going on between Miami and Wisconsin, where they had their cornerback, last name Lucas, first name escapes me. Either way, he left Wisconsin for Miami after the portal had closed, and everyone was kind of like, can you do that? And the NCAA said, yeah, we can't stop anyone from unenrolling at one school and enrolling at another school. So in the most basic terms, this may not change anything, but for most people, I think I know this is what coaches have been asking for, is just one portal window. If this had been in place last year, maybe Nico stays at Tennessee instead of transferring to UCLA, which, we'll see how that plays out on the field for the Bruins and the Volunteers, but would have been the best thing for Nico. But it remains to be seen if this will actually be a hard and fast deadline. And we also know that coaches and programs and agents aren't going to wait until January 2nd to get their guys out on the market. All that stuff's going to start happening very, very soon.
So, Zach, I mean, it's already another college football weekend, so I don't want to spend too much time rehashing. We got all this in front of us. But in general, what kind of stuck with you from last weekend? What are maybe a couple of the big storylines, whether they're results or just news notes? What kind of hung with you from last weekend's opening slate?
I think last weekend played to how we expected this season to go, in that obviously we haven't seen your Penn States, your Oregons, your other quote-unquote, your Georgias play another heavyweight, but we did see plenty of them. And this season looks like it's a wide open season, perhaps even more so than we anticipated. There did not appear to be a perfect team out there. Ohio State was the closest I saw, given that they did beat Texas in impressive fashion. They never trailed in that game, were never really in serious peril of losing that game. They did do so, only gaining 204 yards. The question is, it certainly seemed like Julian Sayin was capable of more than what he performed. So I think Ohio State's a deserving number one. LSU joined that conversation. Miami joined that conversation, perhaps even Florida State. Seems like Alabama may have exited that conversation. I don't think Texas exited the conversation of national contenders. I don't think Notre Dame did either in defeat. So I think this season is just as wide open, perhaps more so than we even anticipated, in a historically wide open season to start.
What do you think about, and it might be the most talked about thing of the entire week, but what do you think about the reaction down in Tuscaloosa to what they saw in that first week? And as a guy who covers a lot of coaching stories and knows the lay of the land, just your reaction to all of the hand-wringing in Tuscaloosa at the moment.
Yeah, when fans and boosters get most frustrated, obviously, is losing. But within that, it's when you lose in the same way over and over again, because it's either you can't identify the problem or you can identify the problem and can't fix the problem. And that's Alabama continually does not get up. Either they don't get up for lesser opponents, or they're not as good as we think they are. They did get up, and that's the best that they can do, is go out and lose as 2-touchdown favorites by 2 touchdowns. So neither one of those is a great answer for Kalen DeBoer. We talk about the Saban standard of play to your hardest. That's a football standard. You run to the football, you give your best effort, you don't catch blocks, you take blocks on, all that stuff that Alabama is failing to meet. And this isn't a game where Florida State caught them by surprise. It was their season opener. And to carry the sins of last season into this season is an indictment on Kalen DeBoer. And now you're seeing people come at him with things I think are a little bit silly and unfair, like, I don't like how his sideline demeanor. I don't like how he dresses in games. I don't like how he answered this question in press conferences. Well, if he was the opposite and the results were the same, it would be, well, he's just trying to be Nick Saban. He's yelling at these guys, and they see through it. So ultimately, people are mad that he's losing, and then the complaints about his demeanor in press conferences on the sideline, all that stuff is window dressing. So the only way out is to win, and the only way to win is to continue being himself.
Michigan and Oklahoma this week, and obviously OU, they won. There were thoughts that people thought they could be more explosive or electric or whatever. Mateer did what he can do. Michigan, still kind of a to be determined, but Sherrone Moore played at OU. He said, I'll suspend myself, but after this game. Your thoughts about how important each of these teams, is it putting too much on this game about how important it is for Michigan or Oklahoma?
I think it's fair. I think the expectations are fair for Oklahoma. I think Michigan would be nice to win, but Sherrone Moore a little bit reset his clock by starting Bryce Underwood as a true freshman. And I don't mean to cast any aspersions on Sherrone Moore. We all saw Bryce Underwood's talent. So as long as you are competitive in this game and you continue to improve throughout the season, I think Sherrone Moore is going to continue to be on schedule. Brent Venables really needs this game. And I say that because it's not like we're going to look back in December and if Oklahoma beats an 8-4 Michigan team but loses in Texas or loses 3 straight games in October, November, people are going to be like, well, at least he beat Michigan. It's not going to be one of those games, but it is going to be his season's very much – his tenure is teetering very much on the razor's edge. It could go either way. And Oklahoma could beat Texas and go into the last season – the last half of their season undefeated and very much in the thick of the SEC and national title races. They could come out of that game 3-3. Either one of those is a distinct possibility for them right now. And so the amount of recruits they're going to have in this game, the amount of eyeballs that they're going to have on this game, this is a yardstick game for Brent Venables to say last season was the fluke. This is how we're going to be moving forward. If you lose this game, the chatter is going to be, well, 2023 is the fluke. Everything else has been the standard of what Brent Venables is at Oklahoma. So the chatter from the Illinois State game, I'm not going to sit here and say I had eyes on that game because I didn't. But I do know they struggled to push Illinois State around in the running game. They struggled to do that against Temple last season as well, and that followed them throughout the entire season. The Oklahoma was not entirely healthy up front against Illinois State. They didn't have all their guys. A number of their guys up front are true freshmen. Are you going to be able to put those guys in, Michael Fasusi, Ryan Foje, and push Michigan around up front in their first game? Maybe, maybe not. So I don't know what the over-under is. I like the under in this game. Brent Venables is going to do his best Matt Patricia impersonation and throw things at Bryce Underwood that he's never seen before. And Oklahoma is going to try and put this game on their quarterback and not so much the running game. I like Oklahoma in a close one, 21-17, something like that.
Zach, a big one, Iowa State. Feels like the Cyclones are in a good spot right now, but this Cyhawk game always can get kind of squirrely because of just the familiarity and the rivalry aspect of it. You like Iowa State as much as I do? Because right now I think that they're a great shot to land in the Big 12 title game, and how much of a challenge do you think this Hawkeyes team will be for them in Ames tomorrow?
I think in these big rivalry games, a lot of times your biggest opponent is yourself and your own mindset. Matt Campbell's never beaten Iowa at home. Iowa State has not beaten Iowa at Jack Trice Stadium since 2011. So you have a little bit of disbelief that Iowa State players have to deal with. You know, Matt Campbell was asked about this week and said, well, the atmosphere around this game is so crazy that it wears on the home teams a little bit. They start to feel it Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, maybe, but just go win the football game. You should have the better quarterback. I'm going to be very interested to see Mark Gronowski. He was a guy we were all very high on, was one of the most accomplished quarterbacks at the FCS level, won a national championship, won basically a Heisman Trophy at South Dakota State in his 3 years there. Now at Iowa, threw for 44 yards in his opener at Iowa. So I guess the gravitational pull of playing quarterback for maybe Josh Allen would throw for 50 yards if he was wearing a Hawkeye uniform. I don't know. So because of that, I'm going to give the slight edge to Iowa State because we know what they have at quarterback in Rocco Becht. I think Iowa State has a great shot at getting it done. but I know Iowa finds a way to win these games. And a lot of times in these rivalry games, the mental aspect is just as big as the physical one.
I love the comment about even Josh Allen would throw for 155 yards in that Iowa offense. So is this Mike Gundy comments about Oregon's roster and value and how much it cost, and then Dan Lanning comes back at him? Is this overblown and you love it? And then again, or no, this is kind of a bitter thing?
I think it's a case of two head coaches, and they're a little bit of rare breeds in their profession, is that they're not going to give you anything other than the truth when you ask them a question. So I salute both of them for that. So I think it's a little bit fair play to both sides. They're telling the truth as they see it. I do wonder if Oklahoma State, like in looking to this football game on Saturday, I struggle to find a single spot in the field where Oklahoma State's better than Oregon. I would have loved to see Haas Haney be able to play in this game just because he gives you a little bit of extra juice with his legs. It's very unfortunate for Oklahoma State and for all of us that he's not going to be able to play in this game. So you have Zane Flores making his first start as a college quarterback on the road at Oregon as a 4-touchdown underdog. That's unfortunate for everyone. But I see an Oklahoma State head coach in Mike Gundy that's barely even trying to compete in today's game and seems to be doing so kicking and screaming. All the vitriol has been thrown at Dabo for the transfer portal also applies to Mike Gundy. So I know they reworked his contract. They were close to going their separate ways last December. I just don't think Mike Gundy's the Hall of Famer. I mean, they ought to name the Oklahoma State Football Hall of Fame the Mike Gundy Hall of Fame for everything he's done there. I continue to think, though, that both sides would be probably better served to go their separate ways.
KU and Mizzou, this might be the most personal game, certainly one of the most historic backgrounds to this game. As you point out, thinking you're right about this. There's an actual war behind this game, and they're meeting for the first time in quite a while. Both teams looking pretty good so far. Do you have a feel one way or the other when it comes to Jayhawks and Tigers out there in Columbia?
Yeah, this is truly one of those throw the records out games. For all the attention that UT and A&M got last November for the reunion of their game, Kansas and Missouri hate each other just as much. So this wouldn't be a ranked win for Eli Drinkwitz, but I think it'd be his biggest win at Missouri if he goes out and gets this one done. You can't not play Kansas for 14 years and then welcome them to your place and then lose that game. This is very much a postseason type game, I think, for both sides. I think Kansas is better at quarterback than Missouri. I think Missouri's better on the offensive lines. Missouri's at home. I'll lean Tigers in this one and salute to every head coach, to which either head coach gets this done, because this is going to be a pressure cooker far beyond what meets the eye.
Zach, last thing for me, and we appreciate your time from footballscoop.com. Northwestern president Michael Schill resigns. He was, of course, behind what turned out to be a bad situation with Pat Fitzgerald and the way that came back, and the university sued, and Fitzgerald, of course, was blackballed for a while, right? How could that have gone so bad? How could that investigation have gone so wrong?
Man, I hate that this is the last question because I have a whole rant here.
Go for it. Well,
I think to answer your question, how could that have gone so wrong? I think Michael Schill listened to the wrong people and didn't seek advice from the right people. Because if you wind back the clock to July of 2023, I believe it was a Friday, they announced it was going to be a 2-week suspension that was agreed upon by Pat Fitzgerald. He didn't like it, but he accepted it. Everyone can move forward. And then the student newspaper had a report that came out, I believe, the next day. My timeline may be fuzzy, forgive me. And then Michael Schill came out after that and said he may have erred in only giving Fitzgerald a 2-week suspension. Another day or two goes by and announces that he's fired. And he said in that announcement, this is on me. This is my decision. I erred in only doing the suspension. This is my decision to fire him. I guess as a leader, you got to give him credit for making the buck stops here and putting the responsibility on his shoulders. But Northwestern's CFO probably right now wishes he talked to his lawyers a little bit to see because clearly that opened them up to litigation. My greater rant here is before he got to Northwestern, he was a president out, I believe it was Arizona State, somewhere in the Pac-12. He was maybe Oregon State. Either way, he was instrumental in hiring George Kliavkoff to be the commissioner of the Pac-12 conference, and we all know how that went. So when in college sports, we live in this incongruence where the presidents make all the big decisions, but at the same time, we were told in COVID, when we were all, the 2020 season hung in the balance, we were told by the people that, oh, you silly football people, college athletics is a $100 million enterprise. The universities are $1 billion enterprises. College athletics is a speck on the radar of what these presidents have to deal with. Okay, I'm not doubting you. Maybe that is true. Well, if college athletics is such a small deal to within higher education, then why do the presidents have to make all the big decisions? I think college athletics would probably be in a lot better space if we could just let the ADs make the big decisions, and if it's that small of a deal. If college athletics is too big of a deal to leave to the ADs and the presidents have to make the decision, then don't tell me that college athletics is such a small deal in comparison to higher education. That dichotomy rubs me the wrong way. It seems like more often than not, presidents get involved in athletics and screw things up. And I know where college athletics is a bit of a mess for lots of different reasons, but I think in the long run, we have been in a better spot if the ADs were calling the shots 20, 30, 40, 50, 5, 10, 15 years ago than letting the presidents make the big decisions.
Thank you, Zach, and appreciate your opinion on that. When we were at Big 12 Media Day, we were talking to coaches about, a lot of what's going on, and how many of them aren't even asked about, not that they wouldn't want to do something that might be what's best for them and selfish, but how many coaches are not a part of decision-making, or how many ADs are not a part of decision-making, that they're the ones running that. You're right. It doesn't seem to make too much sense. We appreciate your time and love to get the feedback and the truth serum from you. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Sounds good. Thank you all for having me.
That's Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com with us.